Welcome back to All Content in Smash. I'm your host, AShadowLink. Been gone for a while, unless you count that Quiet Man All Content that we definitely did last month. But I'm back and ready to deliver directly to you all of the possible content that could be in Smash Ultimate from the Shin Megami Tensei series. If you're unaware, Shin Megami Tensei is a prolific JRPG franchise wherein most games deal with the world getting destroyed, leaving Tokyo as the last bastion of hope for humanity as it gets invaded by demons. The premise was unique for its time, as most RPGs were set against fantasy backdrops, but it combined fantasy creatures with a gritty, post-apocalyptic, modern backdrop. Most importantly, however, Shin Megami Tensei, or specifically its spiritual predecessor, Megami Tensei, was the first Monster Collection series. You can draw a through line from Shin Megami Tensei to Nintendo's own Pokémon, as both series are centered around a core gameplay loop of collecting monsters to use in your party, rather than having all of the party members be static characters. Only in SMT, instead of catching them all, you have to wheel and deal with crafty and sometimes dubious demons in order to convince them to join your side. For example, look at this guy. For him to join me, he wants me to dig. All of the options are dig. Classic. Back during our Rate That Character series, I contributed the first video I made for this channel, a guest submission covering the potential of a Shin Megami Tensei character, namely Flynn of the franchise's fourth numbered game, to join Ultimate's base game roster. I said it was pretty unlikely, but also that it was more likely for SMT to come to Smash before its spin-off, Persona. My reasoning being that history and importance should take precedence over popularity. I stand by that sentiment. Anyway, on that note, getting this out of the way, no, despite what the American and PAL box arts for games released before Persona 4 Golden might say, Shin Megami Tensei and Persona are not the same franchise. While they share elements of the larger meta-series, specifically with Persona games taking the demon designs from SMT Wholesale and using them as the titular personas, they are considered separate entities by even Atlus themselves. That's most likely why Jack Frost didn't come with Joker. He's an SMT character, not a Persona character. Now, if they included the Joker from Shin Megami Tensei 4, yeah, he could come with Jack Frost. You wanna know how I got this schmuck? The Shin Megami Tensei franchise is only the games that contain Shin Megami Tensei in their title in Japan, so before you comment that I didn't represent a game like Digital Devil Saga or Devil Summoner, you should probably check if it actually is an SMT game before making that comment. The only games I won't be covering in this video are the MMO and the mobile game, because there's not that much to work with from them, and they weren't made by Atlus. Anyway, starting off, the series symbol will be the face of Shin Megami Tensei and Atlus himself, Jack Frost. Jack is very iconic and easily recognizable, so it only makes sense. There are other symbols we could have picked from, but they're kind of satanic, so we might not want to use those. There's a bit of debate over who would best represent Shin Megami Tensei in Smash. I have suggested Flynn myself on multiple occasions, but Shin Megami Tensei 4 has long since left the cultural zeitgeist and doesn't seem popular enough to warrant its inclusion over other entries. Jack Frost does seem like a decent enough pick, but making a character based entirely around freezing opponents does not seem like the most fun fighter to go up against. Ultimately, the upcoming Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster has given me ample reason to reevaluate my decision and discover that the best fit for this role would be its protagonist, Demi-fiend. Why, you ask? Well, there's a multitude of reasons. Demi-fiend sports an incredibly original and iconic design, and furthermore is the most unique protagonist in the series by far. Nearly every SMT protagonist is a human who fights with a sword and gun. Every protagonist, that is, except for Demi-fiend. Demi-fiend is a demon and fights not with a sword, but with his bare hands. He can shoot lasers out of his eyes, make use of demonic abilities and magic, and even scream to do damage. Yes, that's right. He has screaming as an attack. If that isn't the rawest concept for a fighter you've heard, I don't know what to tell you. Couple that with the fact that Demi-fiend has dozens of unique attack animations to pluck moves from, and he's honestly a ready-made Smash fighter. I didn't have time to compile a full moveset for this video, but I'll try to accompany this with an article detailing every Demi-fiend Smash animation in the near future, with maybe its own video to follow? Who knows? There's quite a lot of moveset potential there, a lot more than Joker had, and if you don't believe me, there's a video in the description showing all of Demi-fiend's attack animations. It's quite something. For the moveset, I envision Demi-fiend as a heavyweight, hitting hard and not being overly fast. A nice contrast to all of the other JRPG protagonists we've received as DLC so far. Similar to my Flynn moveset, I've incorporated the Jack Bros into his specials, though with one notable exception. Jack Skeleton, otherwise known as Jack the Ripper, has been removed for reasons I hope should be obvious. Demi-fiend's other specials will be centered around one of the core mechanics of SMT's combat, managing buffs on yourself and debuffing your opponents. To start us off, Demi-fiend's neutral special will be Focus. In the game, this move allows Demi-fiend to charge up his next physical attack to do 2.5 times its normal damage. And that's exactly what it will do here. He cracks his knuckles and powers up his next attack. Whenever Demi-fiend is buffed, there'll be an up arrow on his UI to signal to other fighters that they should be wary of his next blow. Demi-fiend's down special follows this up with the inverse, War Cry, a move that decreases the enemy's attack twofold. Demi-fiend will let out a guttural roar, and anyone within its vicinity will have their power level drastically decreased for 10 seconds. This will not affect their knockback potential, only lowering the percentage of damage they do. Just like with Focus, enemies stricken with this effect will have a down arrow on their UI. This attack has no effect on already debuffed opponents. To balance out these moves, Demi-fiend will have Magatamas representing their remaining usages. This is based on the press-turn battle system of the SMT games introduced in Nocturne. Each status move uses one icon, but they can be regained one by one through KOing opponents, and they refresh after being KO'd yourself. Additionally, any icons not used during a stock will carry over to the next. For clarity, carried over stocks will be represented by a screaming Magatama, based on the variant of the Magatama shown when using a strong attack in Nocturne, with a maximum of 8. Using them will revert them to normal. There we go. There's a character gimmick actually based on the franchise and game that the character is from. Great. When Demi-fiend has no press turn icons, his specials change. This brings us into the next facet of Demi-fiend's moveset, Demon Summoning. Demi-fiend can summon demons and act independently from them after his summoning animation ends. Demi-fiend's press turnless neutral special has him summon Pixie to perform Jyo. It has very little impact and mostly functions as a tool to allow Demi-fiend to close the gap between him and his foe. The corresponding down special has Kulane enter the battle, performing a force maneuver through his lance to create a gust of air, blowing foes away. It can make for a funny edge-guarding tool as well. The remaining specials are the same regardless of press turn icons, as here comes the return of the Hee-Ho Bros, Jack Frost, and Pyro Jack. The side special is Jack Frost. He is summoned to let loose Bufu, a projectile ice attack that slides across the ground similar to the Ice Climber's side special Ho. As a extra detail, Jack will ride on Demi-fiend's shoulder while he is airborne, as you wouldn't let your homeboy fall to their demise. Not alone, at least. The last special is the up special, which will be Pyro Jack. Hold on. Okay, I'm being informed that that is not his name anymore. It's Jack-O-Lantern now. It was just Pyro Jack due to character limitations in localization. That name is a lot less cool, but I guess I have to run with it. Jack-O-Lantern will carry Demi-fiend back to the stage before departing to the skies. On the ground, he will instead use Aji behind Demi-fiend. All 4 demon specials cover the basic elements in SMT. Demi-fiend will have 2 final smashes, one for close distance and one for long distance. When Demi-fiend is up close and personal, he will unleash Gaia Rage, causing the earth to crack beneath him, magma erupting through the cracks. This move will instantly KO any enemy at 100% damage or above. When there is a sizable gap between Demi-fiend and his foe, he will let loose Freikugel, unleashing a massive beam from his corneas that covers the entire distance between him and the blast zone. As a first for this series, I've made a victory theme for Shin Megami Tensei, based on the level up theme from the very first game. Have a listen. Moving on to the costumes, Demi-fiend's default demon appearance has him covered in black tattoos with glowing blue outlines. As a result of turning into a demon, his eyes glow yellow as well. I do not know why he is shirtless. The game does not explain that. At least he still has his comfy shorts and proper footwear for the apocalypse. For the alts, we'll be changing the color of his demon tattoos. This yellow one is based on Aleph, the player character of Shin Megami Tensei 2, who was the first SMT protagonist to kill God. Based on Nanashi from Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse, this alt has Demi-fiend's tattoos glowing green. Nanashi himself has glowing green tattoos, similar to Demi-fiend, and has a similar background for how he gained them, as they both were revived with demonic power after dying. That's not really spoilers. Both of them die within the first, 10 to 20 minutes of their respective games. This white and blue alt is based on the color scheme of the Law hero from the original Shin Megami Tensei. The color of the shorts comes from his appearance before Tokyo gets nuked. I think that is a spoiler. Oh no. Conversely, the next alt is based on the Chaos hero from that same game, boasting a navy and orange color scheme. This 6th alt is based on Infernal Akira from Shin Megami Tensei 4, a man who chose to fuse with a demon and gained this warped appearance as a result. They have glowing tattoos similar to Demi-fiend and Nanashi. Now for a change of pace, the final 2 alts are based on Demi-fiend's human appearance before the world ends. So he lacks tattoos and is actually wearing a goddamn shirt. This is a bit dubious as an alternate costume due to his powers coming from being a demon, but I'm sure it's fine. Another human, Flynn, uses magic later in the series. All you need is a smartphone. And this final alt is based on the hero, the player character of the original Shin Megami Tensei, specifically his appearance prior to the Cataclysm. Lastly, Demi-fiend has a specific visual quirk. His tattoos will glow red whenever he is at high damage, just like in the game. This effect only occurs when one Demi-fiend is in battle, because otherwise, it would be too difficult to tell the first 3 ults apart. The accompanying Mii costumes will be based on the very same characters I mentioned before as contenders for SMT's representative, Flynn and Jack Frost. Flynn is a Mii sword fighter and Jack is a Mii brawler. Demi-fiend's stage is the Amala Network, the gateway connecting the terminals of the Vortex world in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. Due to the unstable nature of the energy powering the network, it constantly shifts in layout, and as such, the Smash stage will have randomized platforms and be banned from competitive instantly. Shin Megami Tensei's soundtracks are filled with absolute bangers, with a long and storied list of Tsukasa Masako of the original 3 games, Kenichi Tsuchiya, to Ryota Kazuka of the latest entries. Because the entire series has some incredible music, I'll be doing my best to include at least one song originating from every game in the franchise developed by Atlus. Because that's what Smash should do, represent the entire legacy of a franchise, featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series. The classic mode is named One More God Rejected, a line from the Forced Battle theme of Nocturne. In it, Demi-fiend will take on monsters, characters of various alignments, and the gods of Smash. The accompanying stage music will cycle between various battle themes from the franchise, regardless if they are fought on the Amala network or not. Stage 1 pits Demi-fiend up against the most deadly monsters in Smash: Ridley, Mewtwo, and Bowser. They're fought in the Amala network to the common battle theme of Nocturne. Stage 2 has Demi-fiend smite the Keepers of Law: Peach, Zelda, and Simon. They are fought in the main hall of the Kalos Pokemon League, which has a very cathedral-like appearance. The accompanying music is the battle theme from the original Shin Megami Tensei. Stage 3 puts Demi-fiend into the heart of Chaos, Dracula's castle, where he squares off with Smash's most evil characters: Ganondorf, Dark Samus, and King K. Rool? I guess he's just a chaotic personality. It is fought to the battle theme of Shin Megami Tensei 2. Now in Stage 4, Demi-fiend faces off in Arena Faro against his first god, Robin, the vessel of the god of annihilation Grima. He is supported by his comrades, Chrom and Lucina, who in this instance have no idea that their friend is currently possessed by their greatest enemy. This Godslayer battle will be set to the very song this classic mode is named after: Forced Battle from Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. Moving on to Stage 5, we have a bit of a dubious pick, as our next deity is Rosalina. While she isn't explicitly confirmed as a goddess, she has many godly abilities and functionally acts as one, serving as the guardian of the cosmos. Fought on Mario Galaxy, she is supported by both Mario and Luigi in her fight, and she will be faced to battle A2 from Shin Megami Tensei 4. Our last stage is our final divine being, Palutena. Supported by the two angels Pit and Dark Pit, your duty is to end her influence on the world for good. The battle will be fought in her temple and will be accompanied by Battle Light Neutral from Shin Megami Tensei 9. In our final battle will be the god of Smash himself, Master Hand, fought on Final Destination. As always, he will be accompanied by Crazy Hand on higher difficulties, but when his health gets low, he will summon multiple law-aligned fighters like Marth, Peach, Zelda, etc. What better music to fight him than to the theme that plays when you fight God in Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse: Battle F8, One Who Stands Against God. Now we move on to everyone's favorite section, the spirits. Of course, we will have our fighter spirits of Demi-fiend and Human Fiend. For our spirits, while most series tend to focus on the characters featured in their games, Shin Megami Tensei's focus lies on its demons, and as such, most of our spirits will be demons. Recently, there have been polls asking Japanese fans what their favorite demons are, and we will pick choices from there, with some extras. Naturally then, it only makes sense to have our legend spirit be the #1 most popular demon from the Strange Journey Redux poll, Mara. Our legendary spirit is Masakado, sporting his artwork from Devil Summoner Soul Hackers. Masakado is a central, neutral-aligned figure in many Shin Megami Tensei games, so he makes sense as our neutral demon. His spirit battle pits you up against Robin, a character skilled in magic like Masakado himself. He will unleash critical hits of random, mimicking the flow of an SMT battle, reflect all projectiles, referencing his Magatama from Nocturne, which grants repel skills against the 5 basic attack types, and finally he will heal significantly when at high damage, returning for round 2, referencing his return to life in Shin Megami Tensei 2. As with the other DLC Legend Spirits, he will grant a unique enhanced ability. Hyper Smash attacks double up, which will increase the chances of getting critical hits. Our next alignment demon is Mastema, hailing from Strange Journey. As a law-enforcing angel, he is an ace defense spirit. He'll be inhabiting Dark Pit and will heal himself when at high damage. Defeating him grants you that same ability. The final alignment demon is of course Lucifer, who serves as the ultimate figure of chaos in just about every game, seen here in his demon form, which has appeared constantly since its introduction in Shin Megami Tensei 2. While not typically an evil being, he will inhabit the body of Ganondorf for his spirit battle. In reference to his gargantuan size, he'll be gigantic from the battle's start, and have super armor due to his vast amount of resistances. When defeated, his Ace Attack Spirit will grant you that same super armor, though you will take a speed penalty using it. The next demon is an Ace Grab Spirit, Ku-Kulane. He'll be inhabiting the body of Simon, who bears a resemblance to many historical depictions of the man and the myth. Due to his power over force, high winds will be in effect on the stage at all times, and he will gain movement speed. Defeating him bestows you with that same lightness on your feet. Our next demon is Alice, an Ace Neutral Spirit. Having died at a young age, she remains in the realm of the living as a ghost with intense magical power. That power will manifest itself in Zelda. Referencing her signature ability, Die For Me, which is an instant kill, during the fight, there will be a chance for you to suddenly have your percentage rise to max. Additionally, the enemy will gain their Final Smash randomly. Couple that with Zelda's Final Smash being able to banish anyone at above 99% damage, and we've got our instant kill move. Defeating her won't cause her spirit to fade away, but instead grant you the ability for a chance of double Final Smash. Moving on to advanced spirits, our first one is a defense spirit, Decarabia. I hope I said that right. He'll possess Kirby, another star-shaped creature. During his spirit battle, he will shield often, and his shields will have increased durability, as it usually comes with the attack reflecting ability Tetrakarn. Defeating him grants you magic resist up, as he has resistance to all magic in SMT Nocturne. Hee-ho, it's time for the Jack Bros. As a pair, their advanced attack spirit will inhabit the Ice Climbers. However, Jack-O-Lantern Spirit doesn't play nice with this fusion, so they are cursed with burning mouths in this form. Defeating them frees their souls from the eternal flames, but damns you to that fate in their place. Our next demon is Mothman, a novice grab spirit. He doesn't exist. And our final primary spirit is the lovely Pixie, a novice neutral spirit. During her fight, she will tend to avoid conflict, as the pixies in SMT tend to be docile creatures that keep to themselves. For the rest of our support spirits, we will have the other protagonist from the numbered mainline games, who will all have the ability to unleash critical hits at random, because that's just what JRPG protagonists do. We'll be starting with the strongest and ending with the weakest, going from Ace to Novice. As such, the first spirit is of the Godslayer Aleph. He will inhabit the body of young Link, a fitting character because, even though he looks like an adult, Aleph is actually less than 10 years old, as he was aged at an accelerated rate from birth. Spoilers. He is very light on his feet, and grants you that lightweightedness on his defeat. Why did I write that? The next strongest protagonist is Flynn of Shin Megami Tensei 4. He will inhabit Marth for his spirit battle, and his sword will be supercharged. The stage he's fought on is Midgar, representing the state Tokyo is in from SMT 4. Upon defeating him, his spirit grants Fist Attack Up, transferring his power to something Demi-fiend himself can use. If you own the DLC, Marth will be replaced by the Flynn Mii Fighter. And the final and least powerful protagonist, the hero from the original Shin Megami Tensei. The battle will be fought on the Great Cave Offensive, where periodic earthquakes will shake the stage. This is because he canonically dies off-screen in a cave-in between Shin Megami Tensei 1 and 2. Once you defeat him, his spirit ability grants you Bury Immunity. Hooray for irony. And that does it for all the Shin Megami Tensei content we could see in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Thank you to SOBUNOAIYU for the artwork, and shoutouts to the SMT support thread on Smashboards, which is filled with cool people. Here's looking forward to the Nocturne HD remaster and Shin Megami Tensei 5 later this year. Hopefully this video isn't made irrelevant by a Nocturne HD Spirit event within a few days. Famous last words. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like what we do here at Source Gaming, consider donating to us on Patreon. You can suggest content and make me actually make that quiet man all content. Take part in our exclusive patrons only channel where you can ask us questions and see certain videos early. I hope you have a nice day and see you next time when you return to the source.